Hi, this is JP Morgan. Today on the Slant Lens, we've got a live critique for you. I'm going to go through several images and just talk about kind of the different thoughts that I have about the images. Critiques are so important because as you look at other images, other people's images, and you see what they do right, you see the things that they can improve, it helps each of us to improve our own work and to know the things that we need to do to overcome kind of the things that we're facing. You start to get an idea of what does and doesn't work, and that's really the idea of doing a critique. So join in these, watch through them. It's really valuable information that will help your photography grow. Even better if you send your images in and let us do a quick critique and just give you a couple ideas and thoughts about your image. And even better yet is if you'll take the information, reshoot the shot that you did, and send it in again. At Art Center, I reshot probably 50 or 60% of the stuff that I did, because there was always something better. I'd get great information from the teacher, I'd go back and I'd reshoot things again, and it just really helped me to progress. And the students that I've worked with over the years who will reshoot images, the same image, not go do a new thing, shoot the same image, they improve very quickly because it gives them a foundation to be able to progress and to move forward. Reshooting something and having to repeat it is a really strong teaching tool and helps you to become better. It really helps you become better very quickly. So first off, thank you very much and congratulations to Aish, and I don't say his name right, I am so sorry, but he won our Shoot Your Lunch, TSL Shoot Your Lunch contest this month, and he won his Vanguard tripod. So congratulations on your Vanguard tripod, and great image, his food image that he did I thought was extremely well done. There's his Instagram, so you can follow him on Instagram if you want to see some other great food shots. He does really great work, so check that out. And there's new contests coming next month. Shoot, TSL, shoot your landscape. Is that what it is? I just made that up just now. TSL, shoot a landscape. Does that sound better? Shoot a landscape? Okay, we're going to work on the name, but it's coming up next. Giving away a Vanguard tripod and some other things this next month. If you just send in your entries, and we'll pick a winner. So let's get started on our critique. All right, I'm going to go through these, try to go through them not too fast, but not too slow. I want to be able to go through it at a pretty good pace. Okay, this first one here is from, okay, I got to figure this out, from Rick. So Rick, there's a couple of things here. First off, you've got an editing, you haven't edited this image, and so go in and edit this image. It's a little clogged up on the dog, whereas you could brighten that dog up, get them to stand out. You could vignette the background back a little bit and really help this image sing. It would really help it a lot to get in to work with something that will just, even taking it to camera raw and work with your settings in camera raw to get rid of some of the issues that it's facing. Brighten the image up. Selectively go in and open up the dog. It would help this out a lot. I think the trees in the background, they're nice, they're out of focus. Just let those fall off a little more, darken them just a little bit so it falls off back there. The image really drops from left to right, which means we've got a high side that's moving us into the image and pulls us kind of out because of the branches in the background are pushing to the right as well. It kind of moves us a little bit to the right. I don't know why, and this is just my opinion, but I would probably flop this image so that now with those trees and things are pushing against the kind of natural thought that the viewer has to leave the frame on the camera right side. Just a thought there. It may or may not look good. Just have to take a look at it and see what you think. So anyway, nice shot there though. I love the snow on the dog. I love the dog's attitude. I think that's a lot of fun. All right, here is one from John Lockwood. So John, this is a nice shot in a lot of different ways. I like the separation from the background. I like the way that he's framed, just that strong frame, and really fills the frame vertically. I wish we'd had our light was just opening up his eyes just a little bit. Again, that's an editing thing where you could open up his eyes, just give us a little bit of life in his eyes. Your light source is a little low here on the front of him. It's either a bounce card, looks like a bounce card back in on his face, but just give us a little bit more on his face. Open that up just a hair and it'll feel a lot nicer. I think also you can, with this image, you really, just opening up the eyes, opening up the shadows just a hair in the eyes will help this image a lot. You might want to bring the highlights down just a hair, but nice job, nice shot. I like the way it sits in the frame. He pushes up strong in the middle of the frame. Just looks excellent. Okay, this is one here from Buff. Metador, I think that's right. Is that right, Christy? Buff it is. All right, Buff. This image because it's a little dark, and we just kind of sit here. I see the line across the bottom, I see the light on her leg, and then I get to her face and the things that are happening there. I would love to have seen some kind of separation in the background, a rim light or something on the camera right side across this car, and that would have really opened up the car, would have opened up her hair, would have given us some separation, would have made this a lot more interesting. So a rim light from behind on the camera right side would have really helped us out a lot. Now a small grid just on her face. Just open her face up a little bit and then bring this light in the front down just a little bit, and this will sing. I mean, it really well. All the elements are there. You got the car, the dress. I mean, all the elements are there. We just need to kind of work with the lighting a little bit. We're so far back that the design is a little hard for us to get to because we've got the car and the doors opening up, which kind of stops things a little bit. I would crop into that door so the door doesn't become such an element in the shot. Get in a little tighter, make it even, keep it vertical, but get in a little tighter on this and be better. I would reshoot this, get that rim light coming from behind, open up the car a little bit, rim the car, and I don't love light that comes from the camera left side. If she's turning around, it's really a broad light, which is not terrible, but if you were to put a rim light on the camera right side, give a nice rim on the car, rim on her, and then bring this light on the camera left side down a little bit, now I think this would look really nice. But you got a great image there, all the elements are there, so give it another shot. You know, I love macro photography. I really do. I used to shoot ants for hours. I don't know what the thing with ants was. You know, it was just a thing at one point. You know, I've gone through about every phase there is when it comes to photography. But I love several things about this image. I love the red, the way the red kind of makes that mountain and drops off. I love the ladybug being up in that upper corner. I really love the fact that we've got the highlights opening up on the camera left side, up in that corner there. We got a little bit of that gray is not quite so deep. And then we kind of fall off. I think that, yeah, I mean, I like this. I wish I was seeing the face of the ladybug, but I mean, it's a nice shot. It's nicely placed. I like the backlight on the leaf. Just a lot of positive things going on here. So nice job, nicely done. Silhouettes are always fun. I mean, they're just they really are great elements to work with, and can really give you a very stunning image if you work a silhouette right. This one feels a little busy to me. First off, we've got a tree up in the right-hand corner that feels just as important as our three men. I might have taken that tree and even pushed it out a little bit, so it was just a little bit in the corner. You might want it for reference. It might help the image, or just get rid of it completely. And then we've got our three men here, and it's just, I don't get a good sense about each one of them. I wish I saw a little more detail in the third one, although I could live with that, but it's, for some reason, I want to see more of that third person, so we get that three shapes in there, and that becomes our design. So I like the design elements are working really nicely on the one on the camera right side. Camera right as in, as you view it, the right side. And it's just, I mean, I've got a nice shape there. I might even crop out that third person and just keep it the two with that tree element at the top. I just think the tree element maybe in the top is a little strong. It's hard to work with four elements like this, and that's what you have here. You've got three people and the tree. You're really working with four elements. It's a lot easier to work with, you know, 3, 6, or 3, 5. You know, those, the kind of uneven number elements work a lot easier when it comes to design. So again, I think this has a lot of possibilities, but I would like to see a little more, something a little more distinct about them, a better story, so I understand the story better in the silhouette. So, but a nice shot, nice job. All right, here's a black and white here. Oh, I didn't say who the last one was by, did I here? It's by Christy. It is, Christy. There you go. Christy Ford. All right. All right, this one here is by Philip. So Philip, there's a lot of nice things going on here, but there's some things that just are feeling a little heavy. First off, the dirt in this almost feels like spots on the negative, the old negative, you know, like you're getting, or spots on your sensor or something. So I'm not sure if that's, I mean, it must just be the dirt that is kicking around, but I might clean some of that up so it's not quite so heavy. Some of the bigger ones, just get rid of some of those so it doesn't feel quite so heavy there. We're also looking into the back of this. We've got all this dust coming towards us, which is nice. We see, I wish I saw a little more of the dune buggy. I wish you're around a little bit so we saw just a little more of the dune buggy. The black and white could use, it's a little flat, could use a little bit of contrast. Give us a little more blacks in there, you know, and, you know, you can keep that white sky is fine in the background, but just a little more black. We've got that great clouds of the dust there. Give us a little more black in that black, and that will help us to enjoy this a little better. So it's just a little flat. Play with some programs. There's some great programs out there for converting black and white. Lumex is one that has a great black and white conversion. It's really it's presets and a standalone program. It will help to kind of just give you some presets to play with there. But nice job. I wish we could see that dune buggy just a little more. You know, this is interesting. I like this image. I like the path as it leads in. I like the sense of him looking down the path and going on his way. I like the trees. I guess I kind of wish he was silhouetted in the middle of those trees, right in the middle of the path, and silhouette a little smaller would have looked fabulous in there. It would have been a beautiful design because the path would have led us into the person and it would have gone deep in there. I would go back and reshoot this thing, no question about it. It's a great location. You got the trees, you got the path, put a person in there, but now choose a person in there that's going to tell a story. I know you're out with a photographer buddy and maybe the story is a photographer going into the woods, you know, but you could put any one of a million different individuals in this and have a great story. You know, whether it's anything from Alice in Wonderland, you know, to just a couple to, I mean, there's so many different things you could do with this. I think it's a fabulous location. I like the colors here. I love the greens, the way the trees go green. I love the path, the way it's bright and a little bit warm. Just everything about that works for me. He's a little clogged up. I would open the shadows on him if I was going to keep this image, but he's just kind of in an awkward spot. He's not in that spot that's going to help us feel like he's leading down that path. And if this path is really narrow and, I mean, really low-hanging trees and he's too tall, then shoot somebody who's shorter. But come up with a thought. What's the story? How can I communicate something other than just a person in the path? And not that this guy isn't a person, he is, but just there's a lot of things you could do with this that would give you a story. I love this location. I don't know where it is. This is Rasmus. And I apologize, I'm going to say names wrong. I absolutely, if I was better at English, I would have been a lawyer. So I don't know where this is at, but I'd love to shoot here. I absolutely would. I can think of a million things I'd love to put right in on that path. Would be incredible. Everything from a little girl pulling a wagon, you know, to, I mean, there's so many stories that this path would work for. I mean, this is an engagement gold mine or a bridal gold mine, you know, it's just a great place. All right, enough about that. Enough about that. All right, shaved llamas, alpacas or llamas, one of those two, I would guess. This is from Hype, Hype. So this feels almost like a film shot. Is this shot on film? It doesn't say that it is, but it has a feeling of film to me. Yeah, I'm not positive if it is or not, but it has that feeling to me. So this image is a little bit clogged up. It's a little dark. I would open up the shadows a little bit and play with being able to see our animals a little more. The connection between the animals is kind of buried behind the one in the front, which is the lighter colored animal. And so our design is not working for us as nice as it could here. It'd be nice to see that connection in a little stronger way between the two of them. I'd love to see what other things you shot in this situation, what other things you got. But this is feeling just a little, I just want to be able to understand the connection with them and see it better in the image. The design is a little off. I mean, we got the shape of the animal. It's just a little awkward. Okay, so going on. All right. Jagbir. Jagbir. I apologize. You know, this is a beginning on a landscape. There's some foundational things that are here that are working for you. You know, we've got the nice contrast of the rocks to the water. We've got the blue of the sky. We've got a boat in the deep background falling out of focus. But I think we could have designed these elements just a little differently. Getting the camera a little lower would have pushed this rock maybe up into the sky on the camera right side and broken that horizon line, given the waves and the rock a stronger presence in the foreground, and then put one of those boats out of focus on the left-hand side. And I think you got a very strong image here. So those elements right now, because that horizon line, it's like a third of the top there, the 2/3 on the bottom. The two don't work together, but getting lower would push that rock and the waves more into that blue sky, and now would help those elements to work together a little better. It would be a little nicer composition, would help that be a stronger image. It wouldn't hurt if you saw this rock in the foreground a little more, and just play with that. Also, time of day here. You're shooting on a pretty bright time of day. If you shot this same shot as the sun's going down on the camera left side, I don't know if it would be going down on the camera left side, but if it was, or even on the camera right side, a little later in the day, it could be really pretty. Or morning. I mean, the elements are here. It's a matter of finding the right time, the right light, and getting lower so that rock comes up higher in the frame. So there you go. So give that another shot. Shoot another, go out there and shoot again, and come back. I love this image for a lot of reasons. Several of them are, one, I love the triangle in the foreground that pushes back towards the viewer. That line brings me right back to where I have to go right down those steps in the middle, up on that pinnacle, and back to my silhouette once again. So I'm getting a great motion here, a viewing motion, where I start on that street light on the top, I come down to the person with their shadow, that line that pushes that triangle down, and we go right back up those steps, and we start the viewing experience again. Just some strong graphic elements here. You might want to open up the shadows just a little bit on this camera right side, so in the foreground, so there's just a little hint of something there, just a hint. You know, don't make it so that you see into them, but just a hint of something there so it doesn't feel like that side, that black in the lower right corner just falls off the face of the earth. But that would just be an editing issue where you could just open that up a little bit. I think that would make this even stronger. But I think it's a very strong graphic image. I love the elements here. I think they've been placed and taken care of very nicely. And whose is this? I should say here. Richard Verall? V-E-R-A-L-L. Verall. I'm going with it. Richard, nice job. Okay. Michael Hastings. Michael sent some stuff last time, didn't he? I think he might have. Michael, this image is really done very well. I love the light. The source of the light is in the right place for me. It's around, so we are coming across her face. It gives us a beautiful light on the side. It caresses her shoulder, but falls off on her back. It's really, I think the light in this is fabulous. I would probably have made the blue just a little brighter on her, the rim light you have from the camera left side, just to open that up just a hair. But you know what? This is very nicely done. Even her arm, that really a lot of times can be just so dangerous because it's just, you know, an arm. We've got the tattoo, the skull. I mean, all of that is just really working. Now, I'm going to say this, and I probably say it too often, but if you flip this around so that she's looking back towards natural viewing tendency, then I think it's gonna hold our attention longer, and it's gonna even be a stronger image. Try that and see what you think about it. Just flip it over. The one thing on this that needs to come down is her ear. Just need to knock her ear down. It's a little too bright. And so when I look at it, I want her face, I want to see the skull and the tattoo on her arm, but that ear gets a little too exciting for me. Exciting ear! Just take that down just a little bit, and that's going to make this even a stronger image. Nicely done, nicely lit. I love the background light behind. I mean, you just have done all the things that I think make a great image to give you the depth and the lighting and the depth that you need. So really nicely done, nicely done. Okay, this is Cooper. John Surskis. I don't know. Sorry, Cooper. My apologies all the way around. I apologize. Okay, Cooper, you know, this is interesting to me. A couple of things that are going on here. I do like the way he's positioned. I like the way his hoodie and his frame pushes into the frame from the camera right side and pushes back towards the viewer. I like all of the lines that lead into his face or his head. I would probably I would brighten his face up just a little bit. The stuff that's going on right here with the smoke and the mask and his face, I would just brighten that up just a little bit so we get a little better sense of that and knock his hand down just a hair. But I think you got a nice image in that way. If you could get rid of that triangle of white light that goes below the umbrella and points to the ring, just knock that down. It's not doing anything for you. It becomes another graphic element that's really not helping you. but you can knock that down pretty easily, mask it out, and take it out completely would just make this a little more graphic and more graphic, and it would be less of a distraction. But I think you got a lot of great elements here. I wish you're just a little brighter. I know the eyes are very weird, and I'd like to see that a little more and see the smoke a little more. And I think you got a lot of great things going on here. So try those things in editing, and yeah, let's take a look at it. So excellent job. Oh man, this is a great Anal Kumar. This is just really nicely lit. You've got the light in the right place, that backlight. You know, I'm not sure what all the stuff is, either it's morning mist or dew or what, but I like the way that you've done this. I'm wondering if this is upside down, but I'm just guessing it maybe is, because spiders don't usually walk up thread like that. I'm just thinking here, but maybe there's something holding them up that I don't see. But I like seeing the threads. I like the position of the spider. I think it's been really nicely done. I would maybe crop into it just, well, I don't know. I really like even the relief on the camera right side as well. And I think I say this all the time. I'd flip it over. Have I said that like half the time? I'm in a flip it over state today. Just always look at that. I mean, it's not necessary in this. It really isn't. It's a nice shot. It's nicely framed. I like the contrast, the black and the light on the spider. Excellent job. Whoa, small. And I can't make it any bigger. Can you bring it up big on yours?
No. You can hit the control and just hit plus.
Yeah, I did. Oh, there we go. Control plus.
Yay.
We gotta love that. Are we focusing, or is it just it's a small scan is what it is?
I think it's a small scan.
Yeah. All right, so I'm just going to talk about this from a design standpoint. If you look at the stuff on the camera left side, it makes a great triangle that moves us right in to our one ship over there. I wish there's a little more to that one ship, but I like the simplicity of this design. It's a very calm look. We got the triangle on the left, gives that dark shape that moves us into the ocean in the background. It's just a really pretty simple design, and I like that a lot. I like the colors in it. You know, from an editing standpoint, I don't think I would change them at all. Yeah, I think this is nicely done. I wish there was a little bigger payoff with the ship out there. It's a little small, and not necessarily just small, but it's just a single line in the boat. It'd be nice if there was a sail or something that gave it a little stronger presence there. I mean, I would even strip something like that in, you know, a sail or something on it to just give it that little sense of there's a nice payoff when we go down this triangle that moves us into this ship that's on the horizon. So, and this was Brad Oliver. All right, Brad, nicely done. Okay, this is Bram Tolkamp. Bram, I wish I was saying that better. I am so sorry, but he sent stuff in last time, and just like last week's work, this is beautifully done. Looks like the same model, actually, and I'll give you a thought about that. Light is in the right place. I like the way it goes across her hand. Her fingers are maybe a little hard, you know, kind of spidery looking. You might want to soften that just a little bit and maybe take the light down on them. But I love the light on her face. I like the way the background light is working too, because we've got that separation on the shadow side on the camera left side. We've got the brightness on the camera right side. What's interesting about this is that even though the light is motivated from the camera right side, and really we come into the image from the camera left side, when I see her eyes, it pushes me back into this experience again. The only thing in here that really bothers me is this little thing on the top of the couch or thing on the camera right side. There's something out of shape there that just kind of feels like it doesn't belong. I would probably minimize that. You see a natural line there on the couch, on the bottom of the couch. I'd probably gray that out just in editing. I'd isolate it, get it out of there, and just not leave that for me to have to look at or figure out what it is or why it's there. It becomes an element that's a little too strong and competes too much with her, but she's excellent. I mean, it's interesting. We find a model that works well with us and that we like what we get from them, and it's hard to not keep going back to that over and over again. But your portfolio, you're going to need to expand and shoot other people just so your portfolio has more depth and it feels like you've done a lot of different jobs. But this is an excellent image. You've done an excellent job. Excellent job. All right, and this is, take a look here, Dave Slogwood. Slogwig. Sorry, Dave. Sorry. Okay, Dave, you've got a great sunset here. You've got frost-covered weeds in the foreground, and you've got just this kind of darker shadowed landscape. I mean, the elements are all here, I believe, but I have the same feeling that I did about the wave and the water and the rock, and that is that push these elements up into the sky, get lower so that we have a bridge. It's called an arabesque, and that is something that brings us from one plane into the next plane. And can do this in a reverse way. An arabesque a lot of times fell off the table and came back onto the table in classic painting design. But this really could be an arabesque where if you get a little lower, the weeds take us up into this sky, we enjoy the sky, and then they bring us back into the shadows. And I think that would work very nicely. But right now we're just not low enough. So we've got weeds. We almost have two designs here. We got weeds and a horizon, and we got a really beautiful sunset at the top. So get those two. Give us something that moves us from one plane to the other. The ship that we saw earlier that was out on the horizon line, the reason that worked is you've got this black triangle that is really bridging those elements, the upper sky and the water. It gives us a nice bridge, triangle, that kind of blends those two together and makes for a really nice transition. So get a little lower. Everything about this is working very nicely. It just design-wise if you're going to introduce these little frost-covered weeds here, get lower and get them up into that sky and let them become an arabesque that moves up and down. Okay, this is David Rands. Hey, David, you know, there's a lot of nice things here. We've got the deep out of focus. We've got the nice greens. This plant in the foreground makes a nice statement as it comes up and down. As I look at it, I enjoy a lot of things about it. I enjoy that deep focus. I enjoy all the things I just said. But I feel like I wish there was something in this that gave me a stronger design sense. We are so monochromatic. Everything is so together. I feel like I'm just wishing for something else here. Either it's a colored flower on this little flower in the foreground, or it's a bug or a butterfly or something here that gives us a payoff in this design. You know, it doesn't have to be super harsh or super bright or super colorful or any of those kinds of things, although it could be, but just something that gives us a nice payoff and it makes the image like going, you know what, that's really worthwhile. Also, on these kinds of things, I love this kind of push up with a spike. It doesn't hurt to have a lower spike in the lower right third as well. 1 and 2. You know, that brings up the old issue of when you're shooting these kinds of things, is it okay to play with elements? Can you add elements? Can you put things in there? I'm not a purist in any way in that way. You do whatever is going to give you a nice design. Absolutely. I don't think you should worry about it at all. Adding things, putting a butterfly on there, you know, getting a fake butterfly, not a fake butterfly, but getting a, you know, a flower, picking a flower and putting it on there. I don't know. A lot of different ways to make this just a little stronger. Feel free to control the frame and to do what you need to. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. This is not photojournalism. It's art. Okay. Diane. T-E-T-L-E. Sorry, Diane. So Diane, you've got several things going on here. And there's several things that I like about this. But there's several things that need to be improved. I would love to see you reshoot this. This is one where you could reshoot it and make it so much better. First off, if you look at this, you draw a line right through the middle of it. We've got lower half, upper half. We don't have anything pushing up into that upper half. We don't have anything dropping into the lower half. You almost have it with this cookie with the chocolate on it in the foreground and the coconut. We see that thing trying to become an arabesque, kind of breaking off from the cutting board. It's going to bring us back on. We kind of have that starting to happen there, but it's just not quite making it happen. It's very close. I think you're perhaps a little too low on this. You maybe need to come up a little bit, or take your cutting block and tilt it up towards the camera. Put something behind it. Get it up a half an inch or an inch, you know, so that as we look at it, it gives us a better look at the things that are on the table. Also, our focus is killing us. This is a great time for focus stacking. You can take in this situation and you can get these cookies in the foreground in focus, but you can let the focus fall off by the time you get to the chocolate cookie in the back and the cup of milk and the milk. You certainly can make that happen with focus stacking. That's what's nice about focus stacking. is you're just saying, okay, I want everything in the foreground to be in focus and go back, you know. So we're going to go back through the, did we lose our feed? We still on? Okay, so that focus stacking really is the ability to not give you more depth of field, because more depth of field is going to bring everything into focus. But focus stacking is saying, okay, if I have a very shallow depth of field, I can now focus stack from the front and slowly give myself focus until I don't want to have focus anymore, and then it falls off. And so I think this is a great opportunity for focus stacking. So again, tilt this cutting board up towards the camera. Let's get a focus stacking from the front. Most of the cookies are working pretty good. The chocolate chip on the right-hand side is a little big and up and round. You're going to need to play with that on how these elements work with each other. Give yourself an arabesque on the edge of this board, something that comes off and comes back on. People will use a napkin. You can use some kind of an element, a spoon that's fallen off and it's propped down into the bottom, but you see it. You don't want it to crop out of the frame. You want it to be there and so that the eye can come back into the viewing experience. So there's just a nice, there's a lot of great elements here. I love the depth. I love the background. I think the light's working fine, although it's a little dark. I'd open up the shadows by putting a fill card in here or in editing. That's going to make this a little stronger. So there's a great, reshoot that and send it in again. I want to see what you do with it. That'd be fabulous. All right, nice job. All right, bird photography. Bird photography is not easy, man. It's not easy to get this close. It's not easy to, it's just not easy to do. I mean, a bird feeder is a lot easier, but this is Jim Schaefer, I believe. So Jim, first off, I've got this, the feeder is a little too strong for me on the camera right side. Crop more of that out. Get a little more of that out of there. I also have this bright white in the camera left side. Might want to knock that down just a little bit and give us some more black, a little more contrast on the bird, because the bird, it's a little flat right now. We really don't have any blacks to enjoy in there. It doesn't give us a full, rich visual experience. I think that's going to make that look a little nicer for you. So in editing, I think you can make this look a lot nicer. Just maybe a tiny bit of cropping on that on the right-hand side, and give us a little more blacks and a little deeper shadows in there. It's going to look very nice. All right, nice job. Okay, this is really interesting to me because I watched this Kristen, K-R-C-M-A-R. You've got a great image of this girl on the camera right-hand side, but the large thing on the camera left side is chopping our, really chopping our design right in half. It cuts off, we can't see past it, it's so out of focus, it becomes such a strong stripe that it's hard to really get in and to see her. Now, if it was something in there that helped tell the story about her, it'd be more easy to understand it and to live with it. But right now, it's just a foreground element that's way too out of focus and doesn't tell any part of the story for us and keeps us from being able to enjoy her. On her, you've got her on a spot there where that block thing kind of goes up behind her and kind of isolates her. Might have been nice to maybe get that from behind her. I think you have a nicer image working in this area here without that stripe on the camera left side. I like the black and white, the way it's been done. A little bit of vignette in there is nice. Maybe a little too strong on the foreground elements here in the front, but it's nice to have that. The shadows are nice and deep. We're not really losing highlights anywhere. I mean, you've done a nice job in editing. I think we're just struggling with that element on the camera left side. It's pretty hard to get past. All right. Let's see here. It's on is this on a Polaroid? I love Polaroids. Man, this looks like the old Polaroid film we used to be able to squish and to make you could make lines in it and things, and people did some incredible art things with that. It was fabulous. It was just fun. It was campy and it was fun. So, all right, there's several things about this that I like. I just like the sense of the roundness of the chairs and the red and the vintage colors and the grain feeling, and it has that vintage kind of look to it. It does. Feels very much like a moment, you know, and got a moment with the phone. I like the way it's designed. You know, I'm not having a lot of problems with this. I think it's a nice shot. I don't think it's a shot that, you know, it's not the next shot of a lifetime, but I think it's a really solid image and a pretty image and nicely done. I like the colors in it. I like the design. I think it's been done really well. I mean, just we have the leading lines on the camera left side. We've got her interest in what he's showing, and you automatically get involved with, okay, what it is that what are they doing? And his view, her view, kind of tie us right into that circle of what they're looking at there. And I think it's nice. I love the depth, the colors in the depth, the out of focus, and it's a very pretty image. Did I say who the last person was? Manuel. I don't know. I can't read. What do you want from me? All right. All right. This is Nick. So Nick, we've got some nice things going on here. I like the motivation of light from the camera left-hand side. I like her on that grayer background. It's very pretty. I think the jacket is nice. The color of her shirt is nice. I think, though, that we have some fundamental issues here that are hurting us. First off, her hand is brighter than her face. And so automatically we're kind of her right hand, camera left hand, is just a little too bright there. And I think if we knock that down, actually when I was shooting this, I would have knocked that down. I would have put a grid on this or feathered the box up and away from her face so that you really knock the light off from her hand and we don't have that brightness there. Her camera left hand, or camera right hand, or her left hand, it's just very, very, it needs to be softened a little bit. Don't let people grab things, have them relax their hands on them, so if they're holding them more relaxed and not so tight, not so, get them to relax their hands. That'll help their hands look nicer, and that's going to make a nicer design. If you added just some kind of a rim in here on the camera right side, just a little kiss on the side of her hair and the side of her jacket, I think that would look very nice. So a very pretty girl, and it's all working. It's just that hand's a little bright. Turn her. Women are better if you turn them slightly, and it's a nicer look if they're not always square into the camera. I mean, you can make a square in the camera look great. There's no doubt about it. But you might want to turn her into the light just slightly. Knock that hand down, give us a little rim light, and I think it's going to be a stronger image for you. But nice job. I love this black and white. I love the fact that it is really, I love the tonality of it. I love the way it's been processed. The vignette's a little hard on the camera right-hand side, but this goes to it just does one thing for me. It's so close. Get a little lower. Don't let this horizon chop him, and make him so insignificant in this. Get a little lower, let him have a stronger presence under the white of that background. You could get rid of everything up to that little building on the camera left side. You could lose all that and let there be more sky and let him be into that sky, and it would be a much stronger design, because he becomes that bridge that moves up into that white and back into the foreground, and it just becomes a very strong image. If I were shooting this and I really loved it, and I would outline this individual, I would drop the horizon down to about there, below the break in their wrist, and I would clone the sky up, and that's where I would put it. I think that's the spot, but just get a little lower. We have a tendency to shoot everything at eye level. It's just because we're standing there, but always look at where's the horizon line. Get that horizon line low or high. You want it, I like it low. I like it low, and it allows my subject matter, and a simple subject matter, because really what you have here are three elements. You've got the foreground, which is the grass and all of the foliage here, and you've got the sky, the white sky, and then you've got our person. So those three elements, those are the three elements. That's all you have, three elements. So get the foreground element, the ground, lower, and let the person push into the sky element, and you'll have a stronger design. But nicely done. Nicely done. Holzbach? I'm so bad at names. It just makes me embarrassed. When I first saw this shot and looked at it, and this is from Sebastian Fernandez. Sebastian, you've got a lot of great things happening here. There's such a moment here where all these people feel very, very comfortable. You don't see this very often. I mean, everybody's having a great time together. They're all in their own world. Their personalities are all there. I mean, this is a great image in that way, in that it's just so real, and we enjoy the people so much in the image. I like the out of focus background. We don't have, I mean, it's out of focus. We see some water back there, but it pulls away, it falls away from it. This becomes a sweep almost. And it's this light blue water sweep that allows our people to live on it. And I think it's very strong. We see this, they're almost like they're on white. They are very strong individuals. We have the color, kind of color accents throughout it. I actually even love the fact that the surfboard at the very end is pushing back in again. So we want to go back and view this one more time. And it keeps us from just exiting the frame. So I don't know if that was a happy accident, but certainly worked out extremely well in your favor. And the way you framed this is very nice. So I think this is extremely well done. Nicely done. Okay, this is from Z-U-A-N. How do you say that, Christy? Zan? Schwan? Z-U-A-N? Is that right? Okay, Swan. All right, Swan. You know what? Again, we've got a lot of great elements here, but we're losing our person in kind of the sea of other elements. We've got the building. I know you wanted to keep the top of the building in, but I think what that's done for you is that it's kind of taken our eye away from our person in the shot. We lose her a little bit. You probably could have gotten that building in if you'd moved in closer, dropped lower, and a little wider, and allow that building to go up out of the frame, but get this individual a little closer to you and a little larger in the frame. Again, we're kind of working at that eye level and trying to make yourself get off that eye level. But I like the light. It's soft. It's pretty. I think your editing is nice for what it is. I might want to just try to vignette it. Like I say, I don't think the trees are probably my least favorite part of the design. And it really is a strong element up in the top that's a little busy and hard for us to look at. And it really loses our attention to her. If you brought her forward, bring her forward a lot and let her be a strong element and let this thing be more in the background and go out of focus, I think this would be a much stronger image. Everything's in focus. All the depth is in focus, and it just doesn't allow us to rest on her or whatever element you're trying to tell your story with, and allow the rest of this to fall out of focus, but still be there. It doesn't have to be completely out of focus, so you know, it's obliviated and you can't see it, but it can be much softer back there, and that allows us to see her and to see what's going on. I do love the dress, the way it's flowing, the way she's either flipped it up or the wind's caught it. I think it's very nice. Her smile and her engagement with the camera is very real and very comfortable. Okay, this is Setter W. Setter, you've got a couple of things going on here. It's interesting to me because I've seen shots like this done before, and what we're really concentrating on is the lock of the gun, the trigger, this part of this old gun, and it looks like you've probably taken it almost looks like the same gun, but you've flopped it and put it together on the same background. That's what I'm thinking, or there's a pair of them. Either way, it doesn't really matter. The light on the metal is a little specular. I probably would have tried to soften it just a little bit. I feel this kind of a specular sense about it, but it's nicely done. I think it's richly done. Certainly from a collector standpoint, being able to really see the object, they're going to love this because you see all of the object and there's no question. It's not like you're trying to make it too artistic or too. And for me, this kind of works for your purpose, and that is to show this vintage gun. And it does that, and it's open, and you see it, and you can enjoy each part about it. So, all right, nicely done there. All right, I think that's the last one, isn't it, Christy? All right, so there you go. There's our critique here at not the 1st of March, isn't the 1st of March, but the beginning of March. Just a quick look at some of the images. I love doing these critiques. Please send in images. We'll continue to do them. If you continue to send images in and we have interest, we'll certainly do it. I believe, and you are not going to agree with me on everything that I've just said. You're probably not going to agree with me with a lot of the things that I said. But if you take into consideration the thought and the image and what you think you can do with your own images, it's going to teach you and help you to do better. So keep those cameras rolling and keep on clicking.